We have a great poet. It's true. We have a great poet being our sacrificial poet. So again, show him a lot of love and respect. Please welcome to the stage our sacrificial poet, Nomadic!
As of late, I realized that I'm dealing with two recessions. The economy and my hairline. And I see the hairline will be fine, but in these hard times, I can't afford a plate to put food on. That's if I could afford food to chew on. Things aren't like they used to be back in the days, you know, where people used to see me eye to eye. Now, it's more like eyes to hair. Just that quick little glance up to let me know that they know that what I was dealing with is still happening, that my forests once thick like the jungles, they've been eradicated by genetics. And because of this, I'm starting to do things that are strange. Now, I look for friends that are shorter than me, but not too short so I don't slump a little and reveal my shame. And forget Rogaine, I'm not using any product short of Frogaine. I tried everything, but my self-esteem just isn't growing, if you know what I mean. I even seriously consider joining the army because everybody has to shave, right? Then I drew back because I realized that how I would have to salute or wave. I thought about diverting attention away with high fashion clothes, but I can't afford those. A gap between my hairs and eyes, it seems my hairs, they Levi's because of my jeans. Yeah, you guys, and even during interviews, my hairline gets all the fucking attention. All right, Ahmed. In comparison to all the other applicants, your resume looks to be the thinnest. Nevertheless, how far back would you say your experiences go? And going off the top of your head, what is your greatest weakness? All right, Ahmed, everything seems to be wonderful. If you can just do me a favor and sign the thin line at the bottom, using this ballpoint pen, we can be on our way. I can already tell you're going to shine at the head office. See, I don't know why I complain, though. I have friends that have been there with me through thick and especially thin, who go way back like my hairline. It is probably I have my priorities twisted like dreads. And I know I'm not the only one out here. Some of you fellas feel me. And if not, you sure as hell feel that gold on that bald spot. So you better learn to get used to it, because regardless if the economy gets better or not, there's no growing back to how it used to be. Thank you.
A letter to Sarah Kay's unborn daughter.
From would-be fathers.
If I should have
had
a son, I will hold him.
Would have held him.
The first time he cried.
Cried.
Smiled. The first time he laughs.
Laughed.
And lose.
Lost.
The first time we wrestle.
Wrestled.
I will grip.
Would have gripped
his shoulders gently and massaged his spine.
So that his heart was not
heavy, and his head was humble.
When his imagination
fills him with illusion,
I would have been,
will be a disciple of his illusory world and provider of his reality.
The bed of sand beneath his mirage, as well as the sunlight
trying to reflect what he yearns for. And he will teach me,
would have taught me
of the tattoos behind our closed eyes, beating against our eardrums. I would help him listen, even when he would not speak to me. I would hear him speak, even when he would not listen to me.
And if ever my son
should run away, I would not
have tainted
his return, scolding his departure. I will hurt him, I know, with my inability to understand.
Yet I might have healed him with my deepest understandings.
And together we will
would have discovered
that you can never be too young
or too old
to blow hubble bubbles that pop
before you can touch them.
And when we look out into space, we will marvel at how little we know, utterly in love.
And if one day my son
should ask me, what is love? I will glance skyward, looking for a way to say, love is all we need, but don't really know why.
Without sounding like I really knew.
Like I really know. And if he should
would have tested
his father's reluctance to discuss what he's really getting at,
I would have told him not to fight lust with shame.
Not to chastise himself for being curious, just to internalize the true potential of temperance. And perhaps one day he will hear
would have heard
a beautiful poet who reminds him of someone he once loved, describing her daughter she hasn't had yet, inspiring him
to think of things that haven't happened.
Getting the feeling
That I feel,
as I wonder,
what if he had happened?
will he ever happen? And if my son were
have been
born marred,
scarred,
he would be no less my son, and you would be no less his father. You would have worked hard.
just as you will, to ensure he gets the same love and respect we share.
All people should share.
All people should share.
After all, imperfection gives art to poetry.
Except you could never write him, could you?
No, and nor could you have written him. We could only hope he would read us and thank him later for his translation.
Please welcome from Capital Slam, Sir Realist.
There's a place where life and death sit to share a meal. But this is not an ordeal where both argue to prove which of the two is more real. This is not a bittersweet feast where cries of defeat compete with a breathing heartbeat, a cold encounter between one finished counting and the other the counter. This is not a gathering where tense questions are presented with senseless sentiments of resentment, a somber affair where sighs of regret wander through the air. This is not a place where hate waits to dislocate every trace of grace from fate. No, this is no such space. When life and death greet, they sit to eat, but no one grits their teeth. Instead, they lift their speech with gifts that seep, melodies rich and deep. For life and death would rather sing than speak, at least. This is how I see it from my seat at the hospice down the street, when I sit with my guitar to play lunchtime serenades for a gathering of volunteers and cancer patients there for the day. Some of these patients have already accepted death, with a quiet confidence we generally reserve for stoic superheroes facing an inevitable end in big-budget films, but this is no such production. Just a lunchtime table occupied by a group of men and women embraced by illness like a lost love, and a group of dedicated volunteers serving a hot lunch, adjusting pillows and oxygen tanks to the tune of soft smiles and whispered thanks, while I sit in the background and stare at the floor, with my guitar in my hands performing the score. After nearly 6 years here as a volunteer, I wanted to capture this experience in word or song, and so far I've done an awful job. Everything I've just described is accurate, at least on the surface. But there's a beauty breathing beneath which renders words worthless. Beyond oxygen tanks and wheelchairs, swollen ankles and heads where once had been hair, there's an acceptance of death's presence that completely defies the way we address this we consider life's most feared prospect. Whereas we treat death as nothing but a creeping menace, in this place life embraces this deepest of friendships. Thus, space is provided, where these two seeming opposites are no longer divided. United in harmony, death becomes a guest at life's table, or the other way around, as smiles and laughter dominate the sounds of stories shared with notes in the air, plucked from my instrument, innocently aware. It is in these moments I realize we've got it all wrong, for life and death have forever sung the same song, and for every melody death has brought to a close, life has embraced this space and conducted new notes. Inside of the silence which lives within hope, this place is where life's solemn surrender calls home. I know, I've seen it with my own eyes. A nostalgic chorus where the reaper kept slow time, with life singing solo, though roles weren't so defined. The choir smiled and cried, yet were never surprised when the line between singer and spectator died, and so the piece flew. And as the peak grew, a deep mood soared beyond the summit, then returned into view. With trembling fingers, I played my part, until the soft, silent ending mirrored the start. At that moment, the plates were cleared, and the crowded room became vacant. Life and death parted ways, so it was unclear the placement, but it didn't matter. The feeling of hope remained real in this place where life and death sing and share a meal.
Please welcome Simba.
Do you see these scars on my back?
I got them from my mom and my dad.
Life made 5 points, and these 5 points made a fist.
Each scar is where the devil's lips met my skin,
Burning the cells that coexisted within. I am the remains, the cigarette ashes and the heroin syringe. I'm the smoke from the crack pipe silhouetting the blunt I earlier lit.
I'm just a youth, purging myself in sorrow.
Because the depression isn't something I can swallow.
But the hatred can be reused, emptying alcohol bottles
until the wind hits the tips, playing a grief-filled tune. Hollow as an empty tomorrow, and I give you my pain.
If it was something you could borrow.
But every 18 minutes, a person is subtracted from this world because of suicide, and every 43 seconds, another attempt is added to this list.
At 11.35%, Canada holds the 34th place in terms of suicide rates.
What time is it?
It's time for change.
But it could be worse. I could be one of the 84.6% living in an underdeveloped nation.
Children of the third world living off rations that match them.
In thirds.
101 billion illiterates who wouldn't understand this if it was written on the page.
Now do the math. This leaves only 46% of people in the world that could possibly understand my pain, but 46% of this population... But 46% of this population can't spell their own damn names. Even in this industrialized civilization, I'm the child of a mother from a foreign nation, enslaved to the occupation of globalization, working in sweatshops,
shopping for sweats,
hoping my glands would just
drop. Because my heart is getting too hot, and these statistics are beginning to make sense. What time is it?
It's time for change.
I've been waiting for someone to talk to. Are you listening?
Or are you controlled by the media?
M.
Manipulated.
E.
Exploited.
D.
Distorted.
I.
Incarcerated.
A.
Assimilated. Labeled by the barcodes of major corporations. You are the manufacturer.
And the manufacturer, the label on the shirt that states your worth. A slave still shackled to the chain to the shackle to your veins. Your future is being written.
You allow the rappers to disrespect our women. You are the creator of the words. The nigger change spick and the KKK prick. You are the number one hit. Telling me.
Brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack.
And drop that ass.
You're the plastic surgery telling me I'm beautiful.
Well, that's something I'll never have.
Like an anorexic looking at herself in the mirror.
You are the bulimic woman binging on the cum of her abusive boyfriend's nuts, swallow and throw up. But what time is it?
It's time for change.
Change. Because the only thing stopping me from throwing myself in front of an incoming train is a 20-milligram pill I was instructed to take at the beginning of each day.
And no matter how much we pray, things will stay the same, because without action, we've grown an addiction to these over-the-counter oppressives.
We need to get on our feet and fight against the oppression.
Open your eyes.
Upon investigation, you'll see we're still subjects of discrimination syndicated by the stereotypes we've constituted as tools of identification.
This is food for thought, because we're in a state of starvation.
It's about time we woke our nations and fixed humanity's flawed creations.
Like the standards of beauty we push others to achieve, blind to the fact that we are all created differently.
We are all epitomes of beauty reflected in reality so beautifully.
So even the air is a carcinogen, so I'm afraid to breathe, but with so many problems, I just need to talk.
So give me a few moments while I go to check my clock.
What time is it?
I don't know what her name is. Have you seen her? She walks her beat. Canada is a cold place, but Winnipeg is colder. I don't remember what the number is now, over 700. She still walks her beat with the Vice Squad because everyone has one, a need. I don't know when her kids ate last. Maybe she should feed them. They need to eat, but I can't hire her. She already has a job, remember? Vice City needs her. But I don't even know her name or where she's gone because her family's worried. She's not just a dog that goes into the woods to die. People don't just disappear, and I don't even know what to say. It's happening so often that we're double thinking the problem, like we know it's there, but we try not to think about it because we don't even know her name. When did being a missing woman in Canada become a statistic, a cancer, an epidemic? Because we all know somebody who is affected, and I bet you don't even know her name. Have you seen her? She's more than a number, more than a news story, more than a picture or the clothes she was wearing the last time she was seen. But why should you care? Because she was already missing before she was missing. Missing from life, missing out on life, a whole generation missing while the kids play safe at their grandparents who accept that it's just the way it is. And I don't even know how to change it. Because it's past midnight and she still walks her beat, serving sex on Sargent Avenue to sadists. Sadly, everyone's eyes escape, dart off like their thoughts. Her problems are her own because we don't even know her name. Until one morning you wake and you recognize the face. And the over 700 missing women unknown to you finally have a name. The judgments dissipate. And you realize you were wrong, and you wonder why it took so fucking long for the problem to feel real. Why wasn't this a concern when I didn't know her name? Well, now I do. And now she's gone. And it's too late. So I urge you, the next time you see a smiling, innocent face screaming at you from the newspaper or television, remember that she's a person, and do her a favor. Try and remember her name.
I'm a baller on a budget. Come on, you guys can admit it. I'm a baller on a budget. Yes, Mr. Dillinger's a full-blown shot caller with an empty promise ring and an unused shot collar. I don't use cell phones, I use payphones and change to holler. My mail's electronic, no one's getting chased by a Rottweiler. My toothbrush is standard bristle thickness to clean my molars. And when it's cold up, I just pile up my blankets and pretend that I like my room colder. I use old beer cans as pen and pencil holders, and paperweights are just crushed up paper plates, but bolder. I don't keep a roof over my head, I just use a pullover, and I flat iron all of my shirts with a Bobcat steamroller. I wake up kittens while I catch quick cat naps, or run my napkins under the sink and make homemade wet naps. Yes, I'm a baller on a budget. Come on, you guys can just admit to it just a little bit, right? I'm a baller on a budget. I don't go on first dates, I show up on the 4th or 5th with my legs crossed to hold my bladder, 'cause we can't afford to eat where I want to piss. Have you guys seen the inflated price of a 2012 French kiss? A dozen roses, that's $23.45. Hand-rolled samosas and white rice at $15 a plate, plus the cab fare means my share is zip when it comes to a date. Ice cream in the park, $9 for 2 scoops. The Saskatoon exhibition says, winner a teddy bear at $3 a hoop, just shoot. I took her to a movie but only paid for 1 seat, so we kinda gotta do the booty scoot. Fresh breath is a must, but my tongue smells of mustard. So I leaned in, eyes closed, aiming for her lips and nose, but she cussed hard. Get the hell away from me, fucktard! Try some gum. Lady, I mean woman, I mean girl. You think I'm dumb? Dentine and Bubblicious come from native plants, so I'm just chewing evergreens, thinking we should just hold hands. Yes, I'm a baller on a budget. Come on, just 0 fees and completely fees. Repeat this. I'm a baller on a budget. I don't pop bottles, I drink bottles of pop. I look up under the cap to win my next 2-liter mix. I got a flask inside my pocket. We could share it on the train, but don't spill my Pepsi Pro, 'cause I can't afford to remove the stain. My New Year's resolution was a diet soda, so I swallow hunger pains. My vice requires at least 2 or 3 cubes of ice, and if I want to give you guys a little bit of advice, it's put Tylenol on your rum, it'll hit you twice. I want to say thanks someone, but even being nice comes with a see store for details, no cash value, coupon expires, HST taxable price. I use nickels for quarters and painted pennies for dimes. I'm even willing to wait in a long line or return something that's just $2.99. Tell the sun goodnight, because tonight I'm working overtime. Don't knock the hustle and flex your back pocket muscle. Trust that I'll put funds inside his baby bank account fund, and we'll see who's cheap the day I pay to educate my first son. Yeah, I'm a baller on a budget, but this is what it takes when you live with your balls out. So ballers, put your nuts together and ball out.
Light skin, dark skin, black, brown, olive, caramel, whichever way you say it, my skin tone tells it all. I am black. And no matter how much I try to grow up in this world today, growing up I knew I did not look the same as my peers and teachers. I felt like I could never relate to my friends and classmates with their soft, flowy hair and light, even complexion. I would always compare it to what I thought were my imperfections. Just to brush my hair was a nightmare, so I sported cornrows from the time I was 4 till I got to grade 8. That's when I decided I wanted it straight, so I permed, relaxed, put on that chemical goo to make me look more like you. But now, I get up in the morning, get ready to go, wash my face, brush my teeth, comb back my afro. I'm just so thankful that I don't need a hair straightener no more. Alhamdulillah. I put on a hijab, I don't wear a niqab, I wear it like a wrap with a bun in the back. Now people may ask, Faiza, why do you put that thing on your head? You look so much prettier with your hair straightened instead, all loose and free without worry. Well, listen, honey, I am free. And any aspect of my faith is between him and me. So please, step back, relax, and stop asking those silly questions that come from pure ignorance like, Are you bald under that hijab? How long is your hair under that hijab? Do you eat, sleep, and shower with a hijab? Are you serious? I wonder. Should I even bother? But I'll choose to educate your mind and enlighten your spirit, because people will always be curious, so it's best to approach that in kind. But in case you haven't noticed, I am a human being, and I too have feelings. And I get hurt and offended when people are rude or insensitive. Now, I don't need your sympathy or for you to even understand me. I just need you to know that I am Canadian. And in this land of increasing diversity, and as a young Black Muslim girl who wears her hijab like so, I know I'm a minority. And that's okay with me, because that just adds to my originality, so that's exactly where I would like to be. Now, what I am asking of you is so simple, you see. All I want is for you to just accept me for me. Thank you.
Someday, I am going to eat the perfect Smartie. No, wait, that didn't come out right. What I mean is, I'm going to eat a Smartie perfectly. Have you ever even imagined it could be possible to suck a Smartie so slowly, so gently, so lovingly that no matter how thin the candy coating got, you would never crunch it? Instead, you would just let it thin and thin, past the point where you could easily crush it with your tongue, past the point where your tongue could even tell if there's any candy coating left at all. Well, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to keep going. There I'll be with that perfect tiny ellipsoid of naked chocolate nestled between my tongue and palate, and I'm not going to even think about chewing. Instead, I'm going to sink into a kind of self-induced trance. My heart rate will diminish, my breathing will become slow and rhythmic, almost every bodily system will slow and slow until I'm in a state of near complete suspended animation, just barely alive. And all my life energy will be drawn inward, flowing inexorably toward the only part of me that matters, my taste buds. And my whole being will be so intensely focused that I will become the perfect chocolate-tasting creature. I'll be like a chocolate-tasting god. But even as I writhe and twitch in gustatory rapture, I will suddenly know that just tasting the chocolate isn't enough. I'll want more. Did you know that chocolate is such a delicate and pure substance that it can be broken down to the molecular level and still retain its essence as chocolate? And did you know that there are, on the average, 13 trillion molecules of chocolate in a single Smartie? And did you know that there are on the average 13 trillion cells in the average human body? I cannot begin to understand how the intelligent design folks have never glommed onto that one, because that cannot be a coincidence. So, I'm not going to just swallow, not going to be satisfied with that. Instead, I will creep deep into the darkest recesses of my memory, back to that day, all those many years ago, in that tiny temple in the village of Butala Bazaar in the province of Mahakali on the western edge of Nepal. And I will recall the words of the Mahmahud when he said to me, "You will know you have learned true openness, when you can open not just your heart and your mind, but the very cells of your body. So, I will speak to the cells that line my mouth, saying, awaken, it is time. Open yourselves." And those cells will open, and the cells beneath them will open, and then the cells beneath them, and on and on and on until the chocolate will flow directly through me, spreading and spreading within me, until there is indeed a molecule of chocolate within each and every cell of my body. But still I won't stop. I won't stop until I have let the chocolate in so deep that it has become woven into my very DNA, and I will have become chocolate. But even that won't be enough. I will go to the building of the medical arts in the city of Saskatoon, and I will seek out the great man of medicine, Saul Goner, and I will say, "Saul, you have to reverse my vasectomy." And he will say, this is craziness. It's been too long. There's too much scarring. But somehow he will find a way. And then I will father 2 sons. It'll be kind of vague and mysterious who the mother will be. And those sons will carry my chocolate-laced genes, and each of them will father 2 sons, and so on, until I have begat an entire race of chocolate men. And something about being part chocolate will cause us to be so subtly but beautifully powerful that we will take over the world. And it'll be sweet.
Be delighted. As a commandment to those who chose to pose the question to stifle all answers, be delighted. By the great shapes created by the weights of glaciers, creating spacious fields and mountains that yield the satisfaction of hunger and life. And with so much hunger and life, Some wonder if life is worth living under the strife, and they seek asylum under the knife. But the wondrous wife of mankind reminds us to stay delighted, so be delighted. As a commandment to those who suffer and agonize under the winds of ancient cycles, those who fell to their knees and wept the day everything and everyone they kept dear was swept away by the rising depth of majestic rivers, parting the seas as I flex my fingers, raising the dead as my thespa shivers. Be delighted. As a commandment to those who accumulate in accounts and tune the fate just to pounce on new markets and investments to consume in excess, and give in to the temptress that is the five senses, and then give in to reluctance when asked to borrow 10, when a man with none will give you one. So don't take the rich in vain, or tie your judgment to chains or shame, for those rabid moguls made room for those who manifest tears and actions of gold against the grain, and train their smiles to stain their faces under the pain. Be delighted. As a commandment to those who chose to pose the question to stifle all answers, be delighted. As a commandment to a boy born under a warmer sun, a seed cultivated in tenderness, witness to maternal love as the softest embrace of a mother or the hardest pull of a trigger, forming a figure of love with some rigor. In wonder and awe, from where they kill you with hunger and bombs, lack of water and arms, to where your arms are exploited on migrant farms. And there's a karma that rings the alarm, and there's a bomb that explodes your calm. And he wakes with dreams from afar, with tar in his lungs too thick to sing to the stars, forever a hybrid of peace and war. Watching his family split more than once, for security and opportunity, then for insecurities when pops hit lunacy. An immigrant looking suspect, repping a rough set up in the south side, lecturing red and roughnecks. Still broke even if I cut checks, enough stress. Coffee beans and duffel bags often seem like best friends. When will the test end? Lone gunner, gypsy, tipsy off Allah's blend. But I'm delighted. For now, for life, for poetry, for chocolate. For that light that I speak of is that limitless light of enlightenment that lights up the eternal light of this heart. So with this delight, this room, this world, your mind, our hearts can never be dark.
When the bombs dropped, the smart ones went for the grocery stores and the warehouses, while the brave laid claim to the gun stores and the gas stations. And when one side wanted what the other had, the fighting was tremendous. A little dessert of tribal warfare after a feast of extermination. Maybe a good way to vent some frustration, but that's why there's no smart, brave people around. Or so I assume, because me, I left town. You see, I was never smart or brave, but just enough of both to get by. So, too much the dumb coward to die, I went to the beach. I live in a bottling plant because it was big and clean and open and empty, and each day I could go down to the ocean and fill up on crab meat or seagull. Or garbage. Hell, I learned not to be choosy. You see, I never did learn how to hunt or fish, start a fire, lead troops, stalk prey, kill people with piano wire. I'm starting to think my degree wasn't the best use of my time. Double major, math and English. It means that I am trained to do just one thing. I stuff clean bottles full of poetry and throw them in the sea. And I calculate the odds of them ever being read. It's a simple sum. You could do it in your head. It's 0. I'm Nero, fiddling while Rome doth burn. And I remember that quote, but I never did learn how to read the weather, how to tan leather, how to make a fountain pen from a seagull feather. So I was down to my last stolen ballpoint when you walked into the plant. Looking, in a word, radiant. Yes, you were glowing with a nuclear tan, skin as hot to touch as a frying pan. The only refreshment was in your eyes, already laughing at me for staring. But in their reflection, I could see the odds of either one of us leaving. The answer wrapped itself around us both like a wedding ring. It was 0. I'm no hero. We're not together because I can offer some cure or fight back the savages from your bedroom door. We're here because we were dumb and scared enough to live. And because we did, we get to give each other more purpose than we ever would have known if we lived in a world where the bombs hadn't gotten blown, where we had been a writer and a waitress, a bartender and an activist, never knowing, never caring. It's so hard to remember the problems of way back when. They matter so little now. You have to think, did they even matter then? But we're happy. And twice as many bottles are getting thrown into the sea, and one night you light up the skies with your eyes and you ask me, will things ever be like before? Well, Einstein swore he didn't know how we'd fight the Third World War, but the fourth would be fought with a stick and a stone. The world can't be recast like a broken bone. It's more like turning a hamburger back into a cow. But in the here and now, I get to say every day what everyone's wanted to believe since humans came down from trees, and that's this: I loved you. At the end of the world. And I have to think that matters, and I can't quite prove that it does, but when I check the numbers, the chance that it doesn't always comes back the same. It's as round as the world, it's as warm as your name. It's 0.
The moisture in the room will rise. You know, performing a slam poem is a lot like making love. You have to lick your lips and paw the ground like a feisty tigress. Stare up at the headlights with bedroom eyes and a playful smile. And then with your tongue you play and dance and hold on to the vowels before you whisper into the microphone. I'm so nervous right now. So I better just bite my lip, hold my breath, and go faster, because you'll like that. Do you like it? Do you like it? Take it, take it, take this poem. It's not very long, but it's substantial, and the subject matter leans left. So you have to like it. Do you like it? Do you like this poem? What? No, I'm not searching for validation. I'm flirting with you. And even though I can't feel anything in my latex bag of emotion, I must press on for you. Because you see, I broke from sonnets a while ago, so rigid, formulaic, and frigid. And essays, 4 years of full body, but no passion. But you, my slam poem, feel so much smoother. And these tired groans of approval sound so much better than giving myself a hand after a quiet, lonely, midnight recital. And the point of this poem is that it's exciting and new. It's exciting me and I'm exciting you. And can you feel it washing over you? Baby, you can't spell coitus without us. I love you. But I'm gonna finish this poem. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish it. Where do you want me to finish this poem? Where do you want me to finish it? Where do you want me to, what do you mean you're not into it? Just pretend that it's one of Brent's chocolatey sons. I would do the same thing. Oh my God, I gotta finish this poem all over the stage! I'm sorry for shouting. I hope it wasn't too loud. And my thighs are burning with the desire to perform for you once again better than the last. And I will rise like the phoenix in 20 minutes or so. And what they say is true. Performing a slam poem is a lot like making love. You have to lick your lips and smell your fingers before you can touch upon this body of words. Wait. Shit. This wasn't even 3 minutes long. And why were you guys laughing?
Judging by all the smoke up in this joint, I think it's safe to say that we shotgunned our relationship straight into the bottom of this ashtray. It's as if we didn't see this day coming or going or coming apart at it seems until it was going, gone, like that 2001 Pop Odyssey celebrity and sing song that, if you ask me, was all kinds of wrong. It was as if somewhere along all the lines we fell off the rails, but only to bump back up again because our addiction to each other couldn't keep us apart. It was as if part of you took part in me, for the most part and parceling the reason why we kept partying to avoid parting each other's company. It was as if we traveled back to the 70s in search of soul searching, in search of free love, free peace, in search of releasing ourselves from any responsibility of ever committing to each other, like free and fake, hippie, hypocrisy. All is fair in love and war, and easy breezy beautiful was bullshit because we deserved more. More than the liberties we weren't free to take, more than the love we weren't free to make, more than the chronic oh shit in the wake of every last night's love affair as we lay limb-locked and lost, languished as prisoners of our own war. As we lay atop the bed of nails in which we nail each other and nail each other to the cross that we both bear. As we lay bare-skinned, rolled in between bed sheets that absorb the blood we spilled from each other's flesh, our own fingernails etching zigzags along the length of our backs as we lay back, like D-O-double-G packing bubonic chronic into the packed bowl of our relationship, sparking it, pulling it up the length of our necks, letting it collect in the depths of our throats, and just when we were on the verge of taking the toke and talking the talk about what was going on between us, you'd pull the choke and let every last bit of smoke hang over our heads like a cloud of smoke that never settled. It was as if you never wanted me, but wanted me to want you so that you would get what you wanted whenever you wanted it. As if you thought that I would never think that that's what you were thinking, but thinking back on it now, we could have never had a chance in hell, because there's only so much one can take, only so much compromise one can make, only so much shit one can shrug off, shake, and swallow until their insides become a wasteland. Just a matter of time until that wasted time turns septic, till every last grain of toxic resentment can no longer filter through the hourglass of one's patience, that no matter which way you put this thing down, flip it or reverse it, there's no turning it around, bright eyes. So this time I'm drawing the line, because every time I trusted you with the chalk, you snorted it, and I've papered over our cracks so many times that my fingertips are turning black from how old your news is, your dread-headed tattoo Tibetan flag pumped up kick bullshit. I'm far from namaste. Over this gaga love game, I'm rising from the flame like a phoenix born from this ashtray. So judging by all the smoke up in this joint, I suggest we call a ceasefire, because we shotgun love straight into a full-blown war, and there's so many empty bullet shells laying on the floor that I don't know how we made it out alive, but I do know that sometimes the best way to say goodbye is to look your past in the eye and say nothing. Throw your hands up in the sky, wave those peace signs side to side, hang that shit up out to dry so that you can finally live and let all the rest of it die. Yeah!
Once upon a time, there was a princess. A beautiful princess who just happened to spill her juice and left most of her food on her face when she ate it. Her Highness knew that brushing one's hair was a job for the servants, and since this particular palace was running low on suburban serfs, her hair remained tumbling with tangles. Fairy tale forests for little red beads and big bed. The constellations of freckles that cherished her rumple-stilled skin told nightly stories until her baby-tooth smile brought the sunrise. And she danced like butterfly kisses, flailing her arms if she were accompanied by monarchs as royal as herself in robes riddled with badges of berry-picking stains and crayon smudges, pastels that passed told of adventures. You see, she was a finger-painted canvas of purity, consisting of bright-colored Crocs with high socks to cover scabby knees, dresses patterned in pillow fights, and nail polish lavishly lobbed onto her cuticles. But she was also quite a bother on the battlefield of babysitting. She was a constant casualty and was often plagued with culinary catastrophes, such as leaving the plate in the easy-bake oven. Her royal undergarments were misplaced unusually often and discovered in the most creative of places. You see, a little girl once taught me that the world is crawling with fairy tale people. People who love with a reckless abandon and smile despite their jagged teeth, and if you're lucky, one of these people might even know your name. It was she awoke one summer camp night to reveal a magnificent armpit rash, which she had managed to develop over the course of a few hours. Yes, these were the trials of my caution tape queen. I'll admit at times she got me on my last nerve. Like, who wants to be hugged all the time? And sometimes I'm not in the mood for a lap partner to experiment on me as her personal lazy boy. But in her eyes, I was perfect. And she loved me. I was Juby, her very own Jubilee. My real name never rolled off her tongue like Jubilee, Jubilee, Jubilee. Flip pages forward. These pages are covered in headlines. Stories of mental illness, of cruelty. Protect the innocents left unmarred by the media, blissfully ignorant and happy, because they're a dying breed, these mystical people. Teach them your name so that you might be loved perfectly. And when you pass them on your walk home, don't you dare walk on by, or you'll be left, like me, calling her family's answering machine to hear the voice of an 8-year-old girl who was murdered 2 days after I decided I was too tired to play with her one last time, so please. Know that there are good people out there. Cherish them, spend time with them, and whatever you do, remember that every life is precious. And every hardened look at humanity, well, it's a holocaust. See, I tattooed her last words on my wrist, so when I hold your hand in love, you see the words of my teacher.
Thomas Edison was a coward. A man so afraid of the dark, he spent all his waking hours trying to offset the advent of darkness, a time that is unlit. As Selene strolls the sky and the shadow propagation speed increases, this time of unearthing is somewhat unnerving to those unused to the uncommon sounds and ungodly shadows of nightfall. For one can find no solace amidst the winter solstice when the same light that finds us is the same light that binds us, having us afraid to look behind. The shadows of the mind make all movement in the absence of light look sinister. There's an unwritten importance in facing what it is that you fear, inducing the helplessness, embracing the desperation. For when we refuse to look fear in the eye, when we begin to attach shame to joy, when we see love as an illusion, when we commence the arduous and impossible expedition of explaining emotion through language, this is when the shadow is given life, when darkness is given jaws to devour love. Even the night watch, led by Surrealist himself, would see this as a monumental task, for navigating the treacherous terrain of self is only made more hazardous when the setting of the sun makes way to the internal nocturnal. The Sumerian shade hides things too gruesome to gander. If we are to face the worst of ourselves, we must first face the darkness within. So Thomas Edison was a man on a mission, using nightlights to ward off the Prince of Darkness, all the while watching Dante being caught in an inferno of burning despair and ice-cold darkness, darker than the 3 layers of night that cover Tartarus, darker than the second-to-last days in the Lades of Exodus, darker than when Yang realized yin was a necessary evil, you see. Long before the street lamp, and the days turn night of bacon-fat candles, the ungregarious setting of the sun making way to the onset of Stygian darkness would make men fear the inner demons that were bound to waken with the setting of the sky. But there's nothing left to fear, for there's a light at the end of this murky tunnel. We all have darklings, but we must first face them in order to expel them. I myself have been caught fearing the inner swarthy, calling myself Shadow Runner, not because I run in them, but from them, so you see. I only call Edison what I do not have the courage to call myself, a coward, for he was able to accomplish something I have not yet been able to. Instead of running from the shadows of his past, he turned and faced the light, showing us, through strength, we may shine eternally.
If chivalry is dead, then I am a zombie brains. Baby, I want to get to know you. More than anyone want to get to know the insides of your brain. I will open doors just to let you in. Come in, girl. Let me infect you with my love, I swear. It's not disturbing at all. In fact, it is never ending. You can never kill it. I'll give you my pinky finger for it. No? Okay, here. You can have my heart. See, it's still beating for you, and I know this might sound creepy, but at least I'm not a total creepin' like most guys. Like most guys, I'm just a misunderstood dude who you think is up to no good because I jerk from side to side. But to be honest, to be really honest, I'm not a jerk. I'm just a thriller. I can get your heart pumping. I know sometimes zombies are terrifying. But at least I'm not that scary compared to the horrors in your heart. Grrr. See, you don't know what love is until you have felt a cold body and managed to feel warm. But I'm not saying that I'm the perfect zombie boyfriend, no. I know this because I'm not the perfect zombie. You might have to feed me, and yes, sometimes I do bite, but at least I know how to tell you how much and I will disembowel myself just to prove to you that you make my insides twist and turn, baby. You give me flies in the inside, be my bloody Valentine, and I will treat you more than just a treat. You will be my retreat, my lifeline, my drop dead. Gorgeous, my beautiful nightmare, my scary scream, my Halloween. I swear I'm better than any shiny vampire. See, I'm completely honest about myself. We are more than just a mound of flesh, mindlessly walking, looking for flesh, because skin on skin will always feel the same. Grr? Grr. Grr. But I've concluded that most girls are afraid of me. Afraid of how dirty honesty seems to be, when all I want is to spend my 100 days feeling alive with you, holding hands in a post-apocalyptic nightmare, watching that sun escape another day as I lean in closely and whisper softly in your ears how much I grrr you.
I stayed in on Saturday night and woke up early Sunday morning. But you went to a party and stayed out until the early hours. As you were finally laying down to rest, I was drinking coffee at my kitchen table, filling in the New York Times crossword puzzle. And as I was doing it, I started 9 across 9 letters where you are right now, wondering. You had a bad habit of driving and drinking and doing things without 8 down 8 letters, thinking. You had done it before and were probably going to do it again. My friend, you're like a modern-day Icarus. Trying to get high enough to touch the sun with wax wings, it was beginning to feel like you were 7 across 6 letters for it. Asking. I tried to put out of my mind how out of yours you probably were. I poured another cup of coffee just trying to distract myself, but I felt 6 across 4 letters less, just hoping that you get some help. And I feel like I should have gone with you. I should have said, take me with you to the ends of the earth. I'm going with you. But now it's 5 across 7 letters. What I hope every bullet you aim at yourself will do. And the one thing I don't want to, miss you. But then, like 4 down 6 letters, 5 out of 6 games of Russian roulette, it clicks. And I know where you are. Putting that barrel to your temple with every line of to the sky and me screaming why you decided to 3 across 7 letters me crazy, and the one thing that you should not be doing right now, driving. And as you got behind the wheel, I could feel my heart and every bone in your body, 8 letters breaking when you should have been 7 letters breaking, but you were shaking too hard, it caught you off guard. When barreling through the intersection screaming heaven can't wait, you were introduced to 2 down 4 letters fate, and you met yours that 7 letters morning while I was 8 letters mourning, pouring myself another cup of coffee while doing crosswords at my kitchen table about another Icarus trying to get high enough to touch his own 1 down 5 letters. Angel. Taking the blind corners on your own halo too fast, it feels like the sky is falling and there are too many pieces for me to pick up and put you back together again, my friend. I shouldn't have to spell it out for you. So now, no matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to find a 7-letter word for I don't want to assume the worst about you, my friend. But just in case I never get to see you again. Goodbye.
Today as I walk past the public library, my eyes avert its emptiness and go into my own, and I remember a different day. I remember a time when a word needed paper to be read, when visions of ecstasies would dance in our heads. Today it's pornoplastic pictures that never saw a printer, en masse, from a box spewing waste like technology's ass. And with the stench of manufacture from its serial number, it tells the story of the rate at which we are getting dumber. 3165872 brain cells a second. Damn! There goes my IQ. But the scent of a book is sweeter than man's epic fail. It's sweeter than some Swedish two-dimensional tale. It's organic free trade. Some tree gave its life and fell to the ground with nobody caring. And if it didn't make a sound, still it was daring to be made a story of. The virgin birth of sharing. Some idea gave life to a story or a poem, gave breath to a god from the annals of Rome. 'Cause see, to make a man a book is to make a man a home. But my boy, he doesn't see that. He just doesn't believe that. See, he's glued to a screen every time that you see him. I remember when the library was our coliseum, not a book mausoleum. It was filled with life, gladiators, civilizations, histories and futures waiting for realizations, tragedies we need but that we don't seem to miss. Then again, Shakespeare never wrote a tragedy greater than this. See, when he was born in 1560-something, they didn't know books burned at 451. Today they burn and are forgetting it destroys like a gun. Don't you know that John Doe used to be John Donne? I mean, we used to judge a book the way we judged a good lover. Now we even judge a damn building by its cover. Usually brick with a few tall windows. When you win it, if you listen well, you can hear the wind blow. Every other day it's just empty again. Though today I might go in, but today the lights are dim. So now I'm kinda sad and I'm wishing that I did go. 'Cause man, it's like it always might as well just have been closed. See, that was a place where subtext didn't live in a hyperlink. We forgot the last step. It was read, breathe, stop, think. It was a place where ideas and love affairs came to fruition, when knowledge waited for you without waiting for tuition. Now take me back to when a wiki was a sound a record made. And lyrics needed pen and pad, man, before they could be played. Grooves in the vinyl like braille on the page. Love needs to be touched, man, before it can be made. Before I can be saved. By a book, in the place where words became life and all we needed was to free them. But I see now the library is just a museum.
I also would like to just cleanse the palate quickly with a dirty haiku. Would you like to hear a dirty haiku? When I make love, it's like waiting for Godot. No one ever comes. Twice